Hey everyone, welcome to It's Just Food. I'm Paul G. So excited for this episode. Today we are going to be making Brussels sprouts with bacon and maple butter. I love this recipe. Everything about it is so delicious and it's also very easy to make at home.
Here's what you'll need: salt, pepper, olive oil, Brussels sprouts, bacon, grass-fed butter, real maple syrup, garlic, shallot, the perfect herb mix. And check out my other video where I show you how to make this mix.
Okay, so before we start anything, we're going to get a pot of water on the stove, bring it up to a boil, and add some salt. We're going to blanch the Brussels before we saute them so they're nice and bright green.
So first thing is to remove all the stems off the bottom of the Brussels by slicing them off. Then once you've done that, you'll want to cut each Brussels sprout in half.
So the next thing we're going to do is cut the bacon, and we're going to have to par cook this a little bit, render it down. So as we're sauteing the Brussels, we can just add this towards the end and finish them.
So I did go with a thick cut bacon, and I'm going to cut these to about 1/4 to 1/2 an inch. Just remember, when you cook this down, it's going to lose a little bit of its size, and I wanted some good pieces of bacon in the dish. You can cut them smaller or larger, just depending on how dominant you want the bacon to be. Next, let's get a pan on the stove, medium, low heat. You don't want it to be ripping hot when you put your bacon in there. Just throw your bacon in there while it's warming up, and it will slowly start to render. Remember, low and slow will give you the best evenly rendered bacon. Once your bacon's about 80% cooked, go ahead and remove it from the heat. Dump the bacon onto a pan lined with a paper towel to remove all the excess fat, and you'll set that aside. Next, we're going to make the maple butter. Make sure you remove this from the fridge maybe an hour or two before so it's soft. Go ahead and start whisking this so it becomes creamy. Then you're going to add some maple syrup and just whisk that in. Now, it's going to seem a little bit on the liquid side, but that's just because your butter is at room temperature. I'm adding a little bit more, and then I'm going to whisk that in and season it, and then you'll want to throw that in the fridge so it can set up. Next, let's get all your mise en place in place, so get all your ingredients needed right next to the stove. Next, let's get a hot pan ready. This one's been on the flame for a few minutes. It's hot and ready to go. Hit it with some olive oil. Then we're going to add the Brussels sprouts, and you can see pan's hot, oil's hot. Just giving it a little toss. I'm going to season it with some salt to help pull out some of the moisture and get a better sear and caramelization. I'm going to take my spoon here and try and get as many of the Brussels flat side down, because that's just going to help them get a really nice sear and crust on each Brussels. Now, this is not a necessary step, but these are the little touches when you're cooking that will make a big difference in your dish at the end. So now that we have a little color on our Brussels, we're going to add some shallot. We're going to add some garlic. Add some herbs. We're going to add some bacon. And we're going to give that a little stir and let that cook for 30 to 60 seconds. You don't want to cook the garlic and the shallot for too long because it will burn. So always add the garlic and shallot at the end. Next, we're going to add some of that maple butter. And you can see it's been in the fridge. It's hardened up a little bit. So go ahead and give everything one last stir to really incorporate that butter and that flavor into everything else. You can take it off the heat now and just continue to stir. So now that everything's cooked, here's a tip. Set your pan down next to the bowl you're going to plate in and use both hands. So as you're plating into the bowl, it's keeping the bowl very clean. You don't just want to dump your pan into your bowl. Last thing you want to do is garnish with some additional herbs, both for flavor and look.
So now we've cooked it, let's give it a taste. I mean, it's just so delicious. Especially it's winter time, you have some bacon, you have some maple butter. And if you really want to get wild, you can finish it with some additional maple butter and just kind of let it melt and ooze. But this is so good, it's so easy. And I promise whoever you make this for is gonna absolutely love it. I hope you enjoyed that recipe and I hope you'll try this at home because I promise this is probably one of the best Brussels sprout recipes you will ever taste. Thanks for joining me today and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.